Hey, Dr. Osborne here. Today, Marie writes in with this question. Dr. Osborne, what can I do to transition into menopause and maintain healthy hormone balance and minimize the potential for side effects? This is a great question. So many women going into menopause, they're going into it in a state where they're already somewhat unhealthy, and so the symptoms are much, much greater. The hot flashes, the night sweats, the irritability, the agitation, the feelings that their mood and their balance is all over the map. Like, these are very, very real problems for a lot of women. So what are some strategies that you can do to offset this? Number one, let's talk a little bit about why it happens. For many women, it happens because as they're going into menopause, they have an estrogen dominance scenario. Even though estrogen levels are dropping as women go into menopause, their estrogen-progesterone ratios are still very, very skewed, creating an estrogen dominance effect. And estrogen dominance can lead to or contribute to a lot of the symptoms that women might experience during menopause. So let's talk about 5 strategies that you can implement to ensure that you're not estrogen dominant as you are making that transition. Number 1 is exercise. Exercise is probably one of the most important, and one of the very few people actually get this recommendation to help balance their hormones, but it's one of the most critical. One of the effects that exercise has for women is it reduces a protein in the bloodstream called sex hormone binding globulin. So remember, SHBG, this particular hormone can disrupt the way that your sex steroids work, and the less you exercise, the higher levels of SHBG that you make. So more exercise, lower SHBG, better hormone regulation. So get moving. And again, you don't have to go join a CrossFit gym or throw around Olympic weights. We're talking about movement, 10,000 steps a day, some short duration, high intensity interval body weight activities like sit-ups and squats and lunges and pull-ups and planks and push-ups. Again, basic body weight maneuvers that will help balance out your SHBG, your sex hormone binding globulin. Number 2 on the list, avoid phthalates. Phthalates are a compound, a chemical compound used in a number of different manufacturing processes. We see phthalates showing up in shampoos, we see them in soaps and in detergents. Phthalates are in plastics, they're in cosmetics. So, where do women generally get most of their exposure is through cosmetics and hairspray. Like, a lot of women use a lot of hairspray, use a lot of cosmetics. Check your brand. Make sure you're buying phthalate-free versions of these products, because the phthalates are endocrine disruptors. They disrupt your hormones from working the way they're intending or supposed to work. Number 3 is make sure you're getting an organic food selection in your life. A lot of foods, if they're not organic, remember what they contain: pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides. A lot of our crops are grown with those. A lot of our animals are being fed with those crops that are contaminated with those chemicals. Remember that many of these compounds act as estrogens, what are known as xenoestrogens or chemical estrogens. They mimic the effect of estrogen. So as you're trying to make your transition into menopause, if you're being exposed to a lot of these chemicals, it can really create a scenario that makes you much, much more symptomatic. So you've got to watch out for the chemicals that are found in your food. That's why I recommend you buy organic when it comes to meats, buy organic, grass-fed, free range. And I'll put some links below this video to help you find some of the different products that are high quality that I personally use and recommend. Number 4, filter. Filter your air, filter your water. Why? Because many of the chemicals that we find create estrogen and hormone imbalance and disruption, leading to an increase in menopausal symptoms, are found in air and water. So if you're drinking out of the tap, or if you're drinking out of plastic water bottles, remember, plastics are also a source of the 3rd thing on the list, which are phthalates. So avoid drinking out of plastic, avoid eating off of plastic, avoid heating foods in plastic, avoid eating with plastic forks, avoid cans with plastic linings, all those different things where you're going to get that potential exposure. But filter your water, because a lot of those very same chemicals show up in our water. Filter your air, because a lot of those same chemicals show up in your air. Best kind of air filter is ultrafine HEPA. Best kind of water filter is reverse osmosis. Those two pull more of the chemical toxins out of what you drink and out of what you breathe than any other types of filters to date. So those are the two that I'd recommend. Number 5 on the list, go on a gluten-free diet. And when I say gluten-free diet, I mean the true gluten-free diet, not the traditional gluten-free diet. So many, they go to the gluten-free diet and they're still buying all these products, these gluten-free breads and cereals and pastas that are full of corn and rice and other chemicals, and it's not going to work. It's just not going to be super effective for you. A gluten-free diet, really, science shows that it really works best when you are true gluten-free or grain-free, when you eliminate all grains from the diet. And understand why that's my last recommendation is because many women with hormonal imbalances have them as a result of the exposure to gluten. Gluten can disrupt estrogen, progesterone. Gluten can disrupt follicle-stimulating hormone. It can disrupt a hormone called prolactin. It's been shown to disrupt pretty much all of your sex steroids, and the inflammation it creates can disrupt your cortisol and insulin balances, leading to sex steroid hormone imbalances. So gluten is a major hormone disruptor, and if you're really struggling with the symptoms as you go through menopause, that's one of the first things I have my clients who come to visit with me, it's one of the first things I have them do, and oftentimes that leads to tremendous success in their symptoms and in the way that they feel and in the balancing of their hormones. So follow those 5 strategies if you really want to navigate menopause and keep your hormones as smooth and healthy as you possibly can. Thanks so much for writing in with your question, Marie, and have a great day. Hey, if you've got a functional medicine or health question that you'd like me to answer for you, make sure you send me an email, glutenology@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to create a video answer just for you. Have a great day.